Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Frenemies, the podcast where growth meets reality. Today, I am joined by Josephine Kleiner, Head of Sales at Vitus. Hi, Josephine.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you on. Of course, due to many reasons. One of them, of course, being you being head of sales in charge of go-to-market, and then also working in a very complex industry, the construction industry, which is known to be rather traditional and not the most up to speed with technologies yet. So I think we have lots to talk about. But to dive into it, what do you currently see? No, what's currently broken in how companies approach growth and sales today?
Well, I think being frenemies, I think one of the issues is that customers' success, marketing, and sales are not always aligned on what matters, and all working in silos. We still see that across different companies, and I think that needs to be fixed, especially with all the technology we have available now. It's actually possible to fix it. I think the legacy before we had CRM systems like HubSpot or and so forth, being able to integrate the different what do you say, demand generation, to see it in a different light. Now we have the technology to do that, and I think we just need to fix it.
Yes, I mean, that is one really important area. We have the technology, we have the transparency, and most of the times we have the data, even though it might be fragmented. So, do you have an idea on what is still hindering that alignment and actually driving that siloed thinking in organizations and companies?
Two things: culture and the lack of knowledge. So especially from the top management perspective, they might understand sales because it's down to how much do we earn at the end of the day. Whereas marketing or brand awareness is something that is hard to understand, even though we get increased transparency on those metrics as well. So I think that is also what drives the misalignment.
Really interesting point. And as a head of sales at a scale up, what do you see the biggest disconnect between how companies think sales works and how it actually works?
Uh, well, I mean, I'm working in construction, so some of the I would use the word dinosaurs in lack of better. Some of the more experienced gentlemen, and I do say gentlemen because they are gentlemen. They still think that you can just call people and ask, "Hey, do you want to buy something?" And then people will say, "Oh yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah, let's have a conversation about that." That's not how it works anymore. People would like to see you online and see what is happening and do some research on the product and offering. So they're almost making the decision before you speak to them, and building that trust before actually reaching out is key, which makes the role of marketing even more important. And that's where sales and marketing, if we're not working together in an efficient way, then we'll lose that battle, because you can't just call them and say, "Hey, do you want to buy something?" And that is what some of the older generations thinks works, because it worked when they were here.
So, how do you build trust in construction, but also in B2B in general? Because that is something that I think has been a big shift in how sales is done, and of course also in alignment with marketing or marketing work. But that shift from it's not just about calling and screwing up, that like the amount of calls that SDR BDR departments make. So how do you actually build trust?
Well, this is a very, the construction industry is a very network driven industry. And here you can see the digital tools as an advantage or a disadvantage. The thing is, what happens on the internet stays there forever. So if you're doing well or engaging with the right people and are having those conversations online, then you actually can build up trust with your online presence. It's all about, recording the conversation and sharing them in a LinkedIn post, or interviewing the key stakeholders in the industry about the topic that are important to them. It's in sales and in everything else in life. It's all about that win-win situations, and making sure that they're getting something, you're getting something, and you are both better off at the end of the day. And that's also one of my mottos. It's like signing bad fit customers. It's not a business. It's a scam, right? You want to make sure that people are getting value out of what you're delivering, and if you can do that, then you're on to something right.
There, you already brought up one of my favorite topics, but that relates heavily to ICP and buyer personas. And a lot of companies are still struggling with sticking to their ICP instead of grabbing the opportunities around and kind of getting easy money in. So how do you ensure that you and your team across also like departments are actually staying on the ICP and not, hunting or saying yes too quickly to companies outside of the ICP?
I think that is really an art, staying on track, right? Because you can so easily be derailed, especially in a developing market where you're not really sure. You have to educate the market and you have to test, okay, so is this the right direction we're going? You have to make small iterations all the way, and staying focused on who do we want to be something for is key to solving that piece of the puzzle. With that said, I think you should reevaluate your ICP, if not every 3 months, and at least every 6 months, and making sure, is this actually where we have success? But one of the shortcuts of that is, if you're a larger scale up and you have some data, then looking into the win cases. What did we do here that actually made us made the sale and made this into a really good customer that keeps buying and keeps the conversation going, both internal in their company but also externally, especially in this industry where network is so important. Does that answer the question?
I think so. I mean, it's so many interesting points and points I see so detrimental in the alignment between marketing and sales. You already mentioned experiments, which is something I would like to get into as well. But to stay on the ICP topic, so who do you think should be involved in the conversations on assessing the ICP on a regular basis, once a quarter or once every half a year?
I think the entire growth team, and with growth team, I mean marketing, sales, and of course customer success. With that said, we also always have product joining that conversation, because they need to also stay on track with what they're doing. And actually, we have a bi-weekly meeting where we check in with product, between sales, operations, and product, to make sure that the roadmap on the product is aligned with what we're hearing our customers say. So I think we need all to be involved in the ICP conversation, and also making sure that everybody knows, who are we selling to, who do we want to be something for, what are the problems they're experiencing, and how can we make sure that we're developing the product that the market actually asks for.
Yes, and by asking all of these important questions, it is so important to recheck and with the team and evaluate this continuously, because new topics come up, but also because it's easy that disconnects get created, and actually, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the
So I
easiest
have
thing in
bigger
the
and bigger
world.
gaps. Yes. Very true. And I mean, we see companies and teams failing and siloing out more and more, especially in a very fast market, in a market that is developing, that is also changing drastically due to new technology and so on. But also, of course, as teams grow, expand, new products get launched, and so on and so on.
Yeah, especially with the new wave of AI, where new possibilities are showing up on a daily basis. It's really important to keep focusing on what is creating value for these specific customer profiles. Yeah, not
So yeah, we
easy,
already
but important. Yeah.
yes. And you already mentioned experiments. So, what kind of experiments do you run in your sales execution, and how do you evaluate them?
So I use the rapid experimentation framework, which is I think spun out of Growth Tribe. It's a methodology to work with, and it's basically describing each step. What are we expecting from this? What does success look like? What are the metrics that we're looking into? What are the blockers, etc. So basically writing that out before we start a new experiment, and then making sure that we study the data. That's what everybody always forgets, because in a busy life, that's oh yeah, whatever, now we've done this and now we're on to the next one. But actually looking at the results, it's easy, it's important, so you can build that kind of compound growth. So I entered this position like a bit more than half a year ago, and the first experiment we did was like, what does our ICP want to engage with? We didn't know. Let's always try to build the minimal viable product, the smallest experiment as possible. We're building a skateboard before we're building a bus, to get moving, especially in the scale up company. You need to make sure that you're spending your resources wisely. So we said, okay, what can we do to break the ice, to get the conversation going about the topic we want to be positioned within, the topic we want to own as a brand. And when we had defined that, it was basically about testing it out, very small first, reaching out to three good friends, one of our mother company, reaching out to the CCO there and saying, hey, we would like to do this interview format. Can we test it out on you? And then we tested it out on him and we got his feedback. We did the iteration, and then we asked one of our customers, another safe haven, to get the feedback and to make the mistakes. And then when we had that, then we reached out to three people that we didn't know before, and we actually got a really good response rate, and they did want to engage. The women not so much; they weren't really getting back to us, but the guys, they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this." It's getting better, but I was very uh, sad that we didn't get more female respondents. Anyway, so we're building it up like that, testing out small and then scaling what works, and iterating where we can improve. And back to getting feedback, because this is basically a way of structuring feedback, right? Setting up experiments to see what is working, what is not working, and looking for ways to make it better. And then it developed and developed and developed, and suddenly we have this little pilot called Onsite, which is a magazine. It's basically our go-to-market program, making sure that we have a format that our ICP decision makers, but also ICP, the champions within the buying committee would like to engage with. So we've designed 3 or 4 different offerings that the people we want to build connection with can engage with at various engagement levels, also mining the limited resources you always have in those kind of scale-up companies. You can't do
Yes.
everything, although it would be great.
Yes, but that means the task list is always long enough, which also is always a good sign.
Always, yeah.
But yes, you just showed On-Site magazine, which also got a lot of recognition online. I have seen and read it myself. So first of all, congrats. It is a fantastic piece on the current state of the construction industry. So let's dive a bit deeper into how the idea came up with On-Site magazine, but also, of course, a bit of the insights that the magazine gives.
So the idea of On-Site was like building the skateboard, and we were thinking, okay, what we were looking into, again, mining the data we had, who were becoming our customers and how, and what would they like to engage with? How can we have a conversation with them about topics that they find relevant and interesting? And when we found that, it was basically like repeating until we had something that could then turn into something. And what was important to us was not that it turned out to be a magazine. It could also have been a podcast or some other format. But we found that people would like to engage with a magazine, which you can also repurpose on various platforms, the articles, and we've also done video interviews, etc. So On-Site is more like the overall theme that or commercial strategy that holds a lot of different formats within. But that said, a part of On-Site is, of course, our large pan-European survey, where we asked all the wonderful BIM managers, coordinators, champions out there making a difference every day for small and large construction projects about their take on the world, where the pains were, where the big wins were, what they were, if they had a magic wand, what would they do different, and so forth. And actually, you have a success when you see your competitors starting to copying you. We just saw that. A survey launched by a company in the same space just launched the other day. So that's when you're up to something good. Luckily, we had the results before, right? So it's nice to be able to share the results even before they have conducted their survey.
Yes. And was there something with On-Site and that project of part of your go-to-market strategy that didn't work or that needed adjustment?
Yeah. So, for instance, we would have liked to have more female leaders interviewed in the magazine. We managed to get 1 out of 12, and in my opinion, that's not good enough. But maybe it was the copy we had. We have been looking into it afterwards. The copy we had, or the for getting in contact, was probably not good enough, or not aimed enough for female recipients. There was something that was going wrong there. So we often didn't get replies from them, or if we did, then they would say, "Oh yeah, I don't think I'm the right fit for this." None of the men said that, by the way. So that was really an eye opener. So that didn't work, and that's something that we actually need to get better at, or maybe it's the different another platform we need to try or another format. But it was a struggle to get the female representation on this, which is something that really bothers me.
Understandably so, and I think there's lots of areas where where that is playing out. But I mean, we both have met at the community Women of SaaS, so obviously there are lots of places out there to change that, and also so slowly,
Absolutely.
step by step, we are getting there.
Yeah, and this is the year of empowerment, right?
Exactly.
But that said, we're working on on-site 2.0 now, and I already have 2 female interviews and only 1 male so far. So I think that's we're changing things to get better.
I mean, that is already a massive proof of concept that already for 2.0, that part is being reached. Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic
rapid
news.
experimentation for you. Yeah.
So we already talked about like the construction industry and certain differences, and I think also there to mention that the construction industry is known for being quite complex, lots of stakeholders involved. Projects are very long. There is a lot of different handovers involved in construction projects. It's quite traditional, but also, it is prone to I think there's more men working in the construction industry in general than women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how does the construction industry differ from other industries looking at go-to-market and sales specifically?
It differs. So the construction industry can be, and looking into data management and digitalization in general, I think it's a lot of fun working here because there's so much untapped opportunity, because it's moving slower than the rapid paces of various other industries that I have been working in, which makes it, I wouldn't say easy to win, but it's easy to show results when utilizing these digital opportunities. And that's on various level of the industry and working with the projects. So there's a lot of untapped potential that we're looking into. That's a good thing about it. The hard thing is it is very trust and relationship driven, which is something that we really have to consider when working with sales and marketing in general. There's you really need to earn your voice in the industry, and people are talking a lot across teams, but it's also because it's huge amounts of money that is on stake, and it's so complex. And if you meet someone that will not deliver, you might risk losing the small margin that you were set to win. And sometimes you will have, it only takes one bad project to fuck up a pipeline of maybe six good projects. One bad project can eat the entire revenue of all the other good ones. So I think that's the reason for this industry being so trust and relationship based. And that's something we really need to consider when working with sales. So it's about getting the right people in the room and making sure that you build a good relationship with them and delivering on what was promised.
Yeah. I think that is a key success to trust overall, but even more so, of course, in a heavily relationship focused industry such as the construction industry. across other like SaaS solutions, you see a general market trend to go back to in-person contact, in-person events, and so on. Is that something that you are considering in construction as well, and for Vitus?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably where most value is created, and everything else we're doing is to get that, in-person meeting, because that's where pipeline is moving. So that's absolutely where we're going. Everything else is just um, excuses to get there.
That is wonderfully put. And talking about the go-to-market strategy, how do you ensure that your go-to-market strategy aligns with what customers experience throughout engagements with Vitus and as customers?
Oh, that's a good one. So in our go-to-market strategy, we actually ask we ask the product team, and also not only the product team but also the top management, where do we want to be in XYZ years with this product, and can we enable some of the questions in the questionnaire to give us that insight of what the customers or potential customers are looking into or asking for. So we included some questions like, if you had a magic wand, what would you change? That actually gives a lot of insights into what they need, but it's also reflecting what we are hearing on the customer success side when dealing with our existing customers. So we've actually managed to build in the sort of questions that we either get from our customers or that we would like them to answer in our go-to-market program.
Okay. And what is something that you would wish would change if you would have a magic wand?
Speed. No. Yeah, it's. I mean, of course, selling to large corporate companies or joint ventures and partnerships. Finding the right tool stack or being open to new tools is something that is really slow, and where the teams are not getting maybe not getting the best setup because they're just doing like they did yesterday and what they did also the day before, but that openness to new ways of working is really progressing slow, and I would love for a bit more courage or curiosity looking into better ways of working, because there are lots of really good solutions out there, but all that doesn't help if you're still a big Excel fan and would like to have your CRM system in an Excel sheet, right? I mean, we've all seen those companies, right? Yeah, it's not very efficient. But
No, it's certainly.
that's still the reality in construction, where you're like, okay, you could either take all the data out of the actual project that you have and look at it in 3D, being able to communicate that to all the stakeholders on the project, but you prefer Excel, which is just a row of, numbers. Yeah, okay. Well, then do that, right? Yeah.
So what is hindering that process? I mean, you mentioned that it's like the speed of adoption is really slow, and of course, it might also be due to the size of the companies. Talking about enterprise accounts changing their entire way of working, but looking in other industries, that is happening, and it's happening quite rapidly.
Right.
Are there other reasons why this is slower in construction?
Yes. And I think one of the reasons is the business models. So you see a lot of the consultancy side, they are billing hours, right? And if you do something that takes a lot of hours, then you bill a lot of hours, no matter if it could have been done in half of the time. This is where, with AI and all the automation that is enabled through technology, that is really where I see a big shift is going to happen. Then there's something about the law and responsibilities that we will need to tackle. But as technology enables efficiency and automation, they will have to change their business models. But it's business models and culture holding us back right now, as I see it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Culture, of course. It's like, yeah, so if we're this efficient and the people, they work when they work in a company in construction, then they work there from their 20 till they die. Maybe they take 2 years out in another company, and then they come back again, and then then they're going into pension or retirement, right? So they're always like, yeah, it's fine that we could do all these things a lot faster, but who do you want me to fire? I don't want to fire anyone. So it's also like management protecting, their employees, which is then like way less efficient, but they would rather do that than speeding up or delivering a better product
Yeah.
or cheaper product. And that's also where I'm expecting to see competitors entering from other markets. I mean, what will construction look like in 10 years? Maybe it's not the Danish or Nordic construction companies having the competition. It might be a Chinese robot company that can just build everything at a fraction of the cost from automated humanoids running around on construction site. I mean, that's where the future of competition will come from. So it's innovator or die, and I think we're at the crossroads right now, with having to structure data to enable automation and AI. That's the current issue in the industry, but the next wave is those that get it right and manage to structure the data. They will be the winners of tomorrow. At least that's what I'm hearing all the leaders in the industry talk about and find hard to how do we manage this challenge. It is
Yes,
hard.
it is. It is, and that's why we're having these conversations, and why there's lots of these conversations happening, because the impact of it is playing out in different areas across the go-to-market, across companies, but also across industries. Even though each industry, such as construction, has their own specific factors adding to it.
Yeah.
And how do you bring in, or how do you balance quantitative and relationship-based insights?
So I think now, we are usually selling to engineers or, project directors or leadership who have an engineering background, and that usually they require a lot of data. So you have to make sure that you give them what they need, so that the qualitative data that you can pull from your, we had all these customers saying all this, or we have XYZ projects running on this, which sharing the cases with all the data on it, or as much as you are allowed to, of course, share, anonymized or whatever. That's what gives you the right to stay in the room. But where data is not enough, the quantitative data is that okay, there was this organization has just had a new CEO, they're restructuring XYZ in the organization, or this BIM manager has just bought a new tool which was not successful, so he's scared of bringing in a new tool or whatever. And that kind of insight you will only get through the conversation with the actual people, or with people in the industry, which is what will initially, at the end of the day, that's what wins you the deal, when you have all that kind of insight together with all the more hardcore data that you can feed them in order to sell your product.
So those are the ways of enabling good sales, so to say.
Yeah.
Where do you see the typical SaaS go-to-market playbook fail in construction?
Typical B2B SaaS go-to-market playbook. So far it's working. So I don't know. No, I think, being a scale-up in the construction industry, you would like to deliver results really fast. And that's just not the case here, because the sales cycles are just so incredibly long. So what you're doing now you won't see the results of that in 6 months. Sometimes you will, then you're lucky. Because whatever project that we would like to start working on will maybe only happen in a year or 2 years or 5 years. It's such a long way coming. Establishing that whole trust and awareness in the industry is the foundation of that later step. So, going now we're lucky, we have funding, but it takes a long time, and you have to have very patient investors to enable the growth of the company. And you have a top management that trusts your program and the results you're bringing in. So I think being able to communicate the data behind your go-to-market program, and what it is driving, what kind of conversations it's driving, what kind of leads and new deals and all that, and looking maybe not only at revenue generated, because it might be 2 years from first touch to closed one, but being able to show key metrics before, or indicating leading indicators before the revenue is one way to deal with long sales cycles, which is also what can break a company like this, right? You ask,
Yes.
if what is broken in the go-to-market, and it is like having the courage and the data to keep going, although revenue is turning up further down the line. So it is basically what is it called? What is it called? Cash flow. It's a cash flow management system.
It definitely is. And talking about long sales cycles, I mean, that is also something getting discussed a lot across all B2B SaaS, because they are currently getting longer, and they have been, as far as I know, for the last years as well. That is, of course, due to, I think, prioritization when it comes to spending and budgets, and reshifting of budgets into what is efficient. Currently, lots of it, of course, also going into AI. But the other area is, of course, also the amount of stakeholders involved in decisions.
Yeah.
Do you see other factors impacting the sales cycle length?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads that you can't do anything about in our industry. So, you have whatever hospital project that is then being postponed due to whatever prices on iron from Ukraine because of the war, or there are so many factors that you're not in control of at all. But you will still have to explain to your board, look, guys, we were expecting this deal to land on Friday. It is not because the project has just been postponed for a year. I mean, that's something where it's completely out of your hand what is happening, and that is very normal in our industry. Yeah, it's not nice.
No, it isn't,
But
but it is the pure
it
fact
is what it
of reality, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, KPIs and leading indicators before revenue. What are the KPIs that you focus on the most currently?
Well, I mean, revenue is always the
Yes.
main one, and you also with marketing activities, you need to make sure that your cost per lead is. I mean, in an account-based setting, it can be higher than selling sneakers, but it's you always have to say, okay, what kind of revenue is this bringing in? And what is our acquisition cost? But right now, what we're looking into is new qualified opportunities created per week or per month. That's our single most important leading indicator. And it is because the sales cycles are so long. And if we want to show our board something that gives a valuable insight, this is one of the places where it makes sense. And also velocity and conversions from one stage to the next, and the speed it moves with, that's also relevant because it tells you something about the progression of the deals. Yeah.
Yes.
To demo conversion, for instance, or whether the outreach is landing with the right people. It's also good. Yeah.
Yes. And how do you stay top of mind in long buying cycles?
Yeah, that's where your go-to-market program is super important, right? Because you need to be able to educate your leads along their journey, and making sure to stay relevant to them. So that's why you need a good go-to-market program that has touch points along that journey, and that is relevant, and also that the market go-to-market team looks into customer success and what are the topics that the customers are talking about now, and turning that into valuable campaigns or experiments that you then feed into your content. Yeah. So that's how you stay on top of mind.
Yes, that's I mean, yeah.
But you need to have ongoing touches with them. And I can't remember, was it Dream Data that said 32 touches or something before close one in an average B2B sales cycle. And I think that's even quite good compared to the construction industry where you need a lot of touches on average. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, especially we are basically selling data management infrastructure of the and communication infrastructure of the huge $1 billion projects. I mean, then it's not an easy decision, and a lot of stakeholders needs to be involved and needs to be educated and needs to be having us on top of their mind when they then enter this decision that you never really know when is, because like different platforms can get you so far in knowing what is moving in the projects, but it's actually only by speaking to the key stakeholders within this little room. That's where you get the information. If you read it online, then it's already too late.
Yes, but what happens online stays online, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. But it doesn't matter if it's too late, right? You wanna get in there before it's online.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the conversations and the in-person activities becomes super important.
Yes. And lastly, if you could change one thing about how construction companies approach go-to-market, what would it be?
I would say they should utilize all the tools, the technology that is there, and don't only rely on the telephone as they used to do back in the days. I mean, our company, we're good, but I have seen a lot of other companies not utilizing automation or AI and all these other wonderful tools that the tech world has adopted. I would almost say a decade ago. I mean, it's very low hanging fruits, and I would recommend any go-to-market team to utilize the technology that is available and automate all the boring things that we don't want to spend time on, focus on having that, having the meetings and speaking to our customers and our potential customers.
Yeah,
That's where we should spend our time, not in boring, repetitive tasks. So let's automate what we can and spend the time where it creates most value for us and for our customers.
absolutely. I think that was a wonderful last point. So thanks so much for joining. We're of course looking forward to seeing version 2 of Onsite magazine, both online and offline. And yeah, following Vitus' journey and yours, of course, as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julia. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
So